guys, happy Saturday. Welcome back and thank you for pressing play on this video. Today we are going to be making this adorable happy birthday card using the Party Pandas stamp set, which you can get this set for free with a qualifying purchase. And here's a tip. If you purchase all of the materials that I used today to make this card, you will automatically get this set for free. Now don't worry, I'll have all the material listed in the description below, as well as a link to my blog where you can also find all of the materials and their sizes. Ready to get started? Let me show you the cardstock you're going to need. First, you're going to need a thick Whisper White cardstock, and you want to have this 8.5 by 5.5. This is going to be your card base. You also need a piece of powder pink cardstock cut at 4 1/8 by 5 5/16. This is your regular Whisper White, and this mat is cut at 3 7/8 by 5. You're also going to need 3 scraps of cardstock, one in powder pink, one in Tranquil Tide, and one in Berry Burst. You're going to need 2 more smaller pieces, one in powder pink and one in regular Whisper White. Now this Whisper White needs to be able to fit inside this last powder pink because we're going to be making a banner. So when you go to use your scraps, just make sure you've got that cut. It doesn't have to be perfect. We'll work it out. Alright, let's get started. First, let's get this card base scored. You are going to score it right here at 4 1/4. Let me use the smaller side here. Alright, and that is all the scoring you have to do. That was easy enough, right? So fold this right in half on our score line, and we'll burnish it down just to make sure that it's sturdy. This is your card base, and that's the reason I use the thick Whisper White, because it makes a nice sturdy card base. That card will stand up once it's finished. Alright, so let's set this aside and get started on some stamping. So the first stamping we're going to be doing today is our pink background mat. We're just going to take our little stars, put them right in the center of our stamping block. And for this, you will need your powder pink ink. And the technique that I'm going to show you today is actually called tone-on-tone stamping. Now, you seasoned stampers and card makers are very familiar with this technique, but for the newbies, this is really, really fun. Basically, all you're doing is stamping the ink color onto its matching paper, and it's sort of like a ghosty situation. I'll just show it to you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lightly tap our stamp onto our ink. We're going to just stamp it randomly around the edges. The goal here is just to make a border. I will finish that and off camera, and I'll come right back. Okay, so the border edge is completely stamped. Our white mat is actually going to fit right in there. And see how it kind of looks like confetti? Very cool. Let's go ahead and stamp our pandas. You're going to need your white mat for this, either black memento or our basic black ink. First we want the panda with the balloon, and we're just kind of going to center it right about there. Press down, and there we go. If, like me, you got a little spot of ink in your balloon, don't sweat it. We're going to actually be covering that, so it's not a big deal. Let's grab our other 2 pandas and stamp them on the sides. I'm just going to tilt this little guy and make him go a little wonky, just for some fun. Alright, so I've got all 3 of my pandas stamped on my white mat, and I'm going to set this aside for just a moment. While I've got all of my panda stamps out, I'm going to put down a piece of scrap paper because I need a second copy of each one of those pandas. What we're going to be doing is making a mask. So I'm just going to stamp each of those pandas back down on another piece of paper. Doesn't need to be perfect because all we need is the outline of that stamp. Alright, I've got all 3 of my pandas stamped. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday on my piece of Whisper White scrap. Straight down, straight back up. While we're stamping, we're also going to stamp this balloon in black on each of our Berry Burst, Tranquil Tide, and Powder Pink scraps. We'll hang on to these guys. Okay, we are almost done stamping, but before we can complete our stamping, we need to cut these guys out. And while we're cutting, we'll also cut out our 3 balloons that we stamped. Let me get these completely cut out, and I will get right back to you. Okay, so now I've got all 3 of my Party Panda cutouts and those 3 little scrap balloons. Right now I'm going to put them aside, but I'll show you later what we'll do. What we're going to do is a technique called masking. We're going to be putting these little puppies on their twins, and we'll stamp over them. Just put some very inexpensive, low-tack, double-sided tape on the back of this. My tape came from the dollar store. It's cheap and doesn't stick very well. It's perfect for this project. Put this panda on his twin. Just going to press lightly so I can pull him back up without damaging the cardstock underneath. Put this guy on his twin. And you want to line it up as much as possible. You'll understand in a minute why I say that. So let's get this guy lined up. Gently press it down. So now you've got your 3 pandas covering, yep, you guessed it, your 3 pandas. You are going to need your Berry Burst, Powder Pink, and Tranquil Tide inks. You are also going to need the little stars and dots stamp that we originally used to create the border of our pink mask. What we're going to do is create a background on this white mat to make it look like more confetti. We're going to take our little stamp and your Tranquil Tide. We're going to just tap right on that stamp pad, and we're actually going to stamp off, meaning we're going to stamp right there first, and then come through and just randomly stamp until the ink runs out. Then once it's too pale, you can come back and just stamp again. Now, I have a problem. I don't know why I keep doing this, but I managed to get this little edge. See, like right here and right here? I don't mind that because to me, it almost looks like a streamer, which is kind of cool because, you know, it is a birthday card. You may not like that, so, and you may not even have a problem with stamping the edge. I have no idea why I keep doing it, but I do. So there you go. People make mistakes. I am #1 mistake maker. Okay, we are going to do the same technique with our Berry Burst. And you can even not stamp off so that you have a few super bright bits of confetti. Completely up to you. You know, this, at the end of the day, this is your card. You're the one making it. Put your own little touch on it. You don't have to do it exactly the way I do it. Some right there, and do one right there. Now, next I'm going to go to my powder pink. Because it is so pale, I'm actually not going to stamp off. I'm going to do it directly from the ink pad so I can make sure I get as much of that powder pink as possible. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull these little masks off. Just be careful, depending on what you used, that you don't tear the paper. So now we've got those, and you see how all that stamping we did makes it look like it's in the background of our pandas. Pretty cool, huh? Well, I think it's cool anyway. We are almost done, believe it or not. We're going to take our Tranquil Tide and our Berry Blast stamp pads. I'm going to flip them upside down and just give them a little squeeze, just like this. Okay, what that's going to do is release some of the ink onto the underside of the lid. See that right there? Now don't close up your pad because you're going to need that for some painting in just a second. So you're going to use your aqua painter. I cannot find my aqua painter, so I'm actually just going to use a little bit of water and a regular old paintbrush. And what I'm going to do is dip my paintbrush into a little bit of water, and I'm going to pick up some of this Berry Burst color. I'm going to take that Berry Burst and I'm going to paint the party hat. Don't paint the dots. We're going to paint that with a different color. And I'm also going to paint the little heart. Now I'm going to pick up some of this Tranquil Tide. I'm going to use it to paint the dots on this party hat. Okay, do you remember how I said, go ahead and put all your stamps and blocks and everything else away? Well, I made a mistake. We got one more little bit to stamp, and that is Hi. So we're going to ink that up in Tranquil Tide. We're just going to stamp it right here on our letter. Okay, are you ready to start putting all this together to make it actually look like a card? Yeah, I kind of figured. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our pink mat that we stamped earlier. We're just going to add some tear and tape to it. I like to do it on all 4 sides of the back just to make sure that it's actually going to stick and stay. And we're also going to put adhesive on the back of our pandas. So let's get rid of our scrap paper and pull out our card base. I'm going to pull the release paper off the back of the tear and tape, and we're going to center it right on our card base. See why we had to play with those 1/8 and 16ths? So now we're going to pull the backer off of our white panda mat. We're going to center our pandas right in the middle of that pink confetti border. All coming together, right? Remember those balloons you cut earlier? We're just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back of this pink balloon. And you can use fingernails if you've got some like I do, or you can just grab a pair of tweezers. We're going to put that right on top that center balloon, and this is why it was okay that we got some ink in the center. Then we're going to grab our Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm just going to put one on the back of each. Pull back the backing, and I think I'll put that right there. And one more. Put this one down here a little bit. And you see how there's just a touch of dimension between those balloons? Kind of makes them cute. Then you can take your Sharpie or a fine line marker and just draw a little line for string. And there you go. What do you say we make a banner? Take your happy birthday that you stamped earlier and glue it down to your pink. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a banner. Okay, the easiest way to do that is to find your center, cut up with your snips, corner to center, and just snip it. Okay, so you got a super quick, super easy banner, right? So you're going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals again, and I think I'm going to cut this one in half and put it right here in the corners. That way my flag doesn't get all floppy when I go to use the card. Okay, so just peel off all your little backers, and you're going to attach your banner. I think I'm going to kind of put the corner right, no I'm not. I was going to put the corner right there, and then I realized I was covering a panda. I think right here. And there you go. Now just to add a little bit of pizzazz to it, I'm going to take my Wink of Stella, and I think I will add some Wink of Stella to the little heart, and the balloons, and I think the party hat, or at least the dots. And there we have it. Don't know if you can see that Wink of Stella glitter on camera, but it's super pretty and it just adds a little extra. Okay, so there's the one we made today, and here's the one that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Now the difference is these 2 balloons were actually done with vellum, so if you ever want to get an effect of a see-through balloon like you see at theme parks and such, you can stamp on vellum. Just make sure that you give that vellum plenty of time to dry. Cute, right? Well, that's our project for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and remember, you can get this Party Panda set as a free gift with a qualified purchase from either our occasions or our annual catalog. And if you purchase the items that we used to make this project today, you'll automatically qualify to get this gift. Please leave me a comment or contact me through my website. I would love to earn your business, and I would definitely love to show you how you can get this stamp set and even more completely free. Thanks again. Bye.